All right. What's good? It's your boy Low, man, and we're back for another episode of The World According to Low. That's right, baby. The World According to Low. If you do not know, my name is Aloysius Ballard. I am a filmmaker, a video editor. I am a producer. I am a creative director. Man, I do live stream. I'm a tech, a nerd, whatever you want to call me. Guess what? I'm okay with it because I'm living in my truth, and I know better than most that if you can't love you, then who's going to do it for you? Nobody. I'm here to tell you that. Anyway, man, what episode is this, man? It's episode 58. That's right, episode 58. So we are going through this journey of podcasting to where we want to we want to hit 100. And some of you who listen to the show knows that getting to 50 was just half the battle. I made a promise this year that I was going to get through and be consistent with these podcasts because I love talking to people. I love having these interactions, and I love just producing awesome content. And because of that, there are some people who see the vision and support. And how do they support? Let's see what we got here. They support by going to patreon.com/Aloysius Ballard, and they sign up for the loyalty crew. Now, if you don't know what the loyalty crew is, just hang in there. I'm going to give it to you. It's pretty much our community, though. And the loyalty crew is something that I do to give back to those around me and to connect and to just build just a camaraderie of people who can support each other. Shout out to, speaking of the loyalty crew, shout out to Kimon who came and hung out with me on the Patreon during a little kickback and talk. And we chopped it up about last episode where we were episode 57, where we were talking about help and asking for help and obtaining help, right? And yeah, man, it was a great conversation. Got to find out some things about Kimon that we didn't know. And we're supporting Kimon so that he can get his podcast back in the swing of things, as well as some projects that he's setting out to do in his bucket list before the end of the year. All right, man, let's get into it. Hold on. Let's see. I hadn't done this in a while, but I want to do this, and I guess I'll put it right here.
It's the world according to Low. Okay. So act like you already know.
And it goes.
It's gonna be a good show. It's the world according to Low.
So
Press it and grow.
Come on.
It's gonna be a good show.
All right, man, episode 58. Now, listen, man, episode 58 is a little different because y'all know I told y'all I'm finding, let me slow down a little bit. Shout out to Joe Budden for schooling us on how to just control the narrative and the pace of your podcast. See, I'm already dropping gems. See, when you get into podcasting, you build this anxiety. You're excited. You got the cameras going. You got the mics hot. And then you just want to get out and create. But sometimes you got to pump your brakes big time. Just pump your brakes a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, I want to just slow down. Number one, speaking of Joe Budden, I want to shout out to Sean Anthony. If you do not know who Sean Anthony is, he is a celebrity podcast coach. So Sean is, man, I don't even want to, that title doesn't even give everything about what Sean is. But Sean is a master, a guru when it comes to podcasting. Somebody I study and has been very valuable in my growth. If you go back and listen to the early podcast, and I don't mind you listening to the early podcast because I was still finding my way. I'm still finding my way. But yeah, man, you find that you start to develop your niche the more you stay consistent. Now, Sean often posts amazing things about how to podcast, some tips and tools that you could utilize, as well as motivating you along the way. For someone like me, I need a little extra motivation, you know. I tend to make an excuse by using more projects and work to sometimes not put my content on the forefront. And I'm getting better with that. Now, Sean actually has a great course on how to podcast and how to grow your podcast on his website, School's Over Now What. And if you visit schoolsovernowwhat.com or just Google Schools Over Now What, he has a $500 course marked down to less than $200. So I advise anyone listening that is following me that is into podcasting, that wants to get better, who wants to grow, go out and capture this price while it's there, because I promise you it won't last long. And tell Sean that you heard it over here on The World According to Low. All right, man. Now, nope. I want to tell you, I don't want to rush through this. Sean Anthony is one of my people I study, but also, let me go here. I think I'm over here. Also, Joe Budden Podcast is a university and school for podcasters. Now, I'm telling y'all, man, like, Joe is just, he doesn't give it away, like, just transparently. You got to pay attention. If you go now, and give you some backstory, actually, this is perfect to what we're talking about today. Hey, man. Hey, listen, bear with your boy. Y'all know me. We ain't, what you rushing through this podcast for? I know you got to be having a good time. You got to be enjoying yourself. Hey, man, slow down. Now, listen, we in this thing together, all right? So, anywho, Joe originally started his podcast with a couple of guys called Rory and Mal. I always get Rory's name. That's such a hard name to say. Rory and Mal. These were some of his partners he grew up, well, I don't want to say grew up with, but I think he grew up with Mal. He and Mal were close. They were his boys, right? And the podcast took off, and then they got really big. They became the #1 podcast in urban and hip-hop, I want to say like the urban hip hop market lane. Okay. And because of that, Spotify came a knocking and they took a deal. And I don't want to get into all the logistics of it, but when money's on the table and things are not always understood between people and parties, then what you end up getting is a major miscommunication and drama. And just safe to say, the guys split up. So Joe had to find 2 new guys, right? Because Joe likes to run his conversations off people, which I understand, because podcasting solo is not for the faint of heart, man. I'll say that again. Can I say that again? Podcasting is not easy for the faint of heart. Like, if you don't have the will and the skill to persevere, man, let me tell you, you are not going to just be super excited about trying to come up here and talk and hold people's attention by yourself. It's okay, because I feel like all of y'all are friends in my head. And I'm just having a conversation with people I would fool with and kick it with. Anywho, so Joe found 2 more childhood friends, Ish and Ice, and brought them on. I think Ice had podcasted a little bit, but gave it up because solo podcasting is hard. Matter of fact, the fact that I'm doing it means,
when y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.
Y'all heard what he said. When you saying my name, put some respect on it, because I'm here every week coming. Not every week. Sometimes I get busy and I miss a week. But I'm consistently coming here to the mic and having these great conversations with y'all. But Joe finds 2 more childhood friends, longtime friends, and these guys are green. They don't know really anything about, especially podcasting on the level that Joe had made his podcast. Imagine you having to get called up from not playing basketball since high school, and the Lakers say, "Hey, LeBron needs a extra man. We need you to suit up." You got to go out there on the Lakers floor and perform, right? You're not going to be just easily jumping on the court. You're going to be nervous. You're going to be, oh man, I don't know the plays. I don't know like what to do. Like, do I just keep passing LeBron the ball? Like, what am I doing when I don't have the ball? What do I do? All these scenarios, man, that come with being called up to professional grade performances out the blue. Well, I came along that time. I was already supporting the Joe Budden podcast, and because of that, I was watching, because I was learning. Joe is a great orator. He knows how to keep you listening for well over an hour. And I'm watching him now cultivate these new guys and teaching them how to podcast. Now, if you aren't paying attention now, I also subscribe to Joe's Patreon because, like I said, I find value in his content. I find value not only in the subject matter that they discuss, which is I like hip hop and I like urban talk. So I like to hear their opinions on the matters, but I also love studying people who are the best in their field. I'll say that again for the people in the back. Don't study people who become trendy. Study the best, like Oprah. Oprah, regardless of what culture did, Oprah still remained true as a legendary based communicator. Oprah could do anything. She did all kind of manners of projects. She even started movies. Like, she's just very diverse, but she remains at the forefront of her industry. A lot of people are like that, but everybody can't do that. And I like to study the greats. I fell in love with Michael Jordan because of that. People who aspire to be more than just the norm. A lot of people like to hide in the crowd. Some of you may be okay with that. I like being in the conversation of being the best, or at least one of them. And because of that, Joe is navigating these guys through an industry that most people can't find their way. One thing he talks about, and I noticed that he teaches them, is to not run through subject matter, right? Sometimes when we're podcasting, I'm going to get to the subject. All this makes sense. Sometimes when we're talking on podcasts, we just blow through so many talking points that we have. Just like I almost did when I didn't explain to you about why I value these two platforms. I don't want you to do that. I want you to get off this podcast. Not now. But when I finish, I want you to take some time when you're on the toilet doing one or two, whatever you do. I'm not judging. I'm just saying normally when you go to the bathroom, you have some time to yourself. Just take some time and Google Joe Budden's podcast. Check out how he flows. Check out how the pace of the show. What do they talk about? What do you find to be the things that stand out to you, that grab your attention? Because Joe can go from one thing and he can amp it up in the middle. See how that energy shift? Yeah, man, like those are things that keep people engaged. When you're driving home a point, you really become animated, but not to the point of where you're screaming at someone, but you're just giving dynamics. So he even teaches those guys dynamics. He's teaching them pacing. He's teaching them to be very careful about stating an opinion when you aren't really thoroughly thinking it through, because things, once they're documented, can come back and haunt you. You may be either gifted with the power of foresight, or you can look like an idiot because you have to eat those words you once said. Now, I mentioned Joe Budden and the split and what he did because the guys that he was with ended up going to get their own bag. They landed on their feet, of course. But Joe ended up getting in a place where now he doesn't have to be connected with a major brand or deal. So he told Spotify, you can kick it, because he says corporate contracts often screw the creator. They often screw the creative and the creator. Now, at least this is, man, listen, I'm finding my way. I'm getting better. Trust me, if you go back to episode 25, somewhere in there, I was doing a lot worse than this. But anyway, we getting it. We growing together, right? Matter of fact, give me a good review. Leave me 5 stars. If I'm not 5 stars yet, I'll be there soon. But Joe split from these guys, and it was to the degree of where they couldn't reconcile their differences. Money and growth and scalability will cause people who work together to sever their partnerships. That's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about partnerships. Some of you right now may be in the middle of a partnership. You may be in the middle of, hey, so-and-so, let's work together, because right now there's no food on the table and we're aspiring to become something. We're aspiring to grow and to gain notoriety or just success in the ventures that we're doing, especially as creatives. Now, last week I talked to you about asking for help. Asking for help does not always mean that you need a partnership. It just means that sometimes you just need a little bit of help. And recently what I discovered was that I recently watched the interview where Kanye West, or better known as Ye, severs a deal with Gap, and I believe the deal was Gap and Balenciaga. Well, apparently Gap didn't follow through with what the contract stated they should. And if you know anything, Mr. West, Ye, started out initially with Nike. He had the Yeezys. And Nike didn't allow him to just run rampant as he wanted. And let me go on record stating that Kanye West, Mr. West, also known as Ye, is someone I deem to be a creative genius. I don't want to argue. I don't want to get into the debate of, I mean, you can state your opinion in the comments if you like, or you can hit me up on IG. We can talk about it, but I mean, right now it's my show, so I'm gonna say what I want to say. Now, because of Mr. West, he started out with the Yeezys. Nike didn't work out for him, so he goes on a rant stating how he could not. He had an infamous conversation with Sway in the Morning, on Sway in the Morning. And on Sway in the Morning, he talks about how Sway didn't have all the answers. I think we all have seen it. You don't have all the answers, Sway, because Sway was telling him, Kanye, why don't you just go out and start your own factory? You got money. Why don't you build your own, do it yourself? Why do you need these partnerships? And Kanye tried to tell him so passionately that it was impossible, not impossible, let me back that up, that it was hard, and that Sway didn't understand that for you to do this effectively at a top tier level, you have to have partners of industry. See, partners of industry is different than you just getting with your buddy or somebody. Partners of industry, they can mass produce something at a cost that allows you to profit significantly, right? Louis Vuitton have their factories. Prada, most of them use the same factories to ensure the quality of the product remains high. By all means, you wouldn't want to eat your steak from Ruth Chris or some fine establishment on a plate of eggs with Waffle House. It just don't match. Now, it's probably good, probably fire meal, but, you know, perceptions. If the steak is $100, why would you put it with some $2 eggs? You just wouldn't. Anyway, I'm kind of got hungry. Sorry about that. Anywho, when you think about that, pairing of products and brands make a difference. So Mr. West goes on to speak about how he chose to remain at a high competitive level. He didn't want to just be someone that was seen as mediocre. He wants to give the people what the next futuristic, fashionable item was. And I will say he achieved that. He made the Yeezy slides, and we see that more evident today. Matter of fact, because of the Yeezys, some have even said that Crocs made a return due to the slides that Yeezy made with Adidas. Now, we all know that Yeezy and Adidas haven't seen eye to eye also. Another partnership down. He goes to Gap and Balenciaga and demands to be heard, to be respected, to be included in this realm as a captain of industry, fashionable. He said he was the next Michelangelo, the next, you know, just world-changing mind. And some would say he's giving us great music. He's giving us great entertainment. He's giving us great fashion. You can't take that away. He's an artist. But oftentimes as artists, we never think up the road. We just think about the thing that we want to create. We think about that one thing that we need to get out to the world, right? And that's not always the best thing. That's not always the thing that we need to do. Sometimes we got to have pace. As Joe would say, you got to control the pace. You can't just rush through everything. See, we start out because we want to get to the end of a project, right? But sometimes the growth happens, the magic happens in the process of creating it. Partnerships. Why do partnerships often fail when it comes to creatives? Why is that we always end up with the Kanye deal where people benefit from us? Because here's the thing, and I'll finish the statement. People often benefit from us without respecting who we are and the longevity of what we're trying to build. Kanye said and stated that he often, one part of the deal that he had with Gap and Balenciaga was that he wanted to make a top tier shelf. He knew that. I want to show people that I can make high end fashion. But I also believe, listen to this, that fashion could be still high end, but affordable. See, Kanye wanted an item at both ends of the spectrum. If I have to design something for the people with money, I can do that. If I have to design something for people who are less financially able, they too deserve to be able to wear something from Kanye West. Kanye states, Mr. West, Ye, states that Gap shot him down repeatedly, to the point where they stopped even entertaining his decree or his cry for the low spectrum design. See, they didn't want a product that people could pay $20 for. They wanted people to pay the high end 200 plus for a t-shirt. They wanted them to fight over the scarcity of these items to drive up the bottom line. Kanye did not want that, so he states, allegedly. See, partnerships only work when, and there's a scripture that says two cannot walk together unless they agree. If they do somehow make it to where they're making a journey together, it's what we call unequally yoked. Unequally yoked is just a very countrified or farmistic way of saying you are tied and bound to something that cannot match your energy. See, a lot of times we do things where we partner with people because we think short term that this is the solution. However, a lot of times we become unequally yoked. We become bound to something that doesn't necessarily match the energy we're putting out. Now, some of you as creatives are working at places now where you are unequally matched to someone who does not give you the energy that you provide. You create something. Ye created these amazing clothes that the Gap wanted to profit off of, but could care less about what Kanye's vision really entailed. Joe, in his situation, in the podcast, Rory and Mal wanted the money more than they wanted the vision of what Joe was doing with the podcast. Why would you turn down $13 million? I'm throwing a number out. I can't. Nobody's really ever been told the number. I know it was high. To them, 13 million was enough to just give them whatever they want. It's 13 million. That's life-changing money. Huh. Would you turn down 13 million? Would you turn down $1 million? What's your price of your vision? I often ask myself that. See, I've been in positions of that, not to that degree, but I started a camp that teaches kids how, young teens to college, how to use media and do production. Okay. Very successful program. It got so big to the point where I couldn't staff enough to keep up with all the kids that we had, and that was coming. That's another story for another day. However, someone, and I don't want to say this organization, but it's a national organization, found out about my program, and they offered me to an amount to purchase the rights and that brand. They wanted to profit from it. They wanted to make it to the point where the kids that I sought to empower, who were, low privilege, or kids who couldn't afford major camps, I was kind of like Mr. Ye. I wanted to give them a camp that rivaled any in the nation, where you could single-handedly come in not knowing anything about film, music, scoring, any of that, songwriting, tech in general, and we would teach you throughout the week how to do these things. I had kids that have never acted. We shot 2 or 3 movies. We shot PSAs. We did a lot of things, and these kids, a lot of them still are in media today, working, educated, going to college, went to college, and doing things in communication, marketing, or film. Some of them learned how to not be so introverted to the point where they couldn't learn how to network. And often times in these camps, you can tell the kids that already have it and those who need a little more help. But anyway, they offered me a price for the camp. And because it did not fit my vision, because my mind would not allow me to give up something that I had given my creativity and passion to for a price. Now, I often ask myself, what if the number was a little bit higher? Would I have sold out? Would I have allowed myself the ability to give up something that was visionary to me? Mr. West said he can no longer do that. And now he will seek out to make his own partnerships with some guys who stand to partner with him in a true way that will match his energy. See, I want you to walk away from this podcast with a little more insight into the partnerships that you create. Are you matching the energy that you're giving to the people that you are walking on your journey with? How long can you walk unequally yoked before someone gets hurt? I remember a game when we were in school where it was called the three-legged race. See, I was very fast. I was the fastest kid in my school. And I had to pair myself with someone who could run at my pace. I remember the first time I did the three-legged race, and I shot out when the little firing gun went off. On your mark, get set, pow. I took off. I remember this because I still have a scar to show for it on my knee. And I exploded. Boom. But little did I understand and know was that the kid that was tied to me wasn't fast at all. See, my teacher thought it was going to be to his advantage to pair him with the fastest kid. That maybe if he was tied to someone who was on the move, he could keep up and learn how to run faster. No, did not go that way. Not one bit. Because of my explosive start, he became dead weight because he had yet to start moving. And because of that, it sent me head down into the dirt where I hit my knee on a rock and split it open. I have the scar. I have a scar still to today. And I never forgot what that feeling was of trying to run tied to something that was holding you back. See, we often go through life where we just want to get to our goals. We want to get to where we want to be, but we don't take enough thought into how and the people that surround us on our way there. I applaud Mr. West. I applaud his maturity into seeing that sometimes you have to allow the unlikely ally to help you build. See, we chase names, and I get it. Kanye said Gap has factories. Balenciaga has the high-end respect. They seem like the most fitting characters, the most fitting partners. However, they don't share the same vision as you, Mr. West. They didn't share the same value of what you were giving energy-wise. A lot of times people will suck the life out of you. They will suck the profitability. They will walk with you as long as it profits them in a way that they see fit. But just like me as a kid, when I was running that race, we end up being the ones that get scarred because we're not having the energy matched. Yeah. I want you to think about that during this next phase of life where we're ending this year. I want you to start gearing up for 2023 in a way that you will say, I'm not partnering with anything that doesn't match the energy I'm putting out. I'm not partnering. I'm not becoming bound to anything that does not serve the life and the vision that I have for myself. Whether that be financially, if you hanging out and partnering up with people every weekend that don't have any regard for you not spending the money you don't need to spend, for you not matching that energy of you needing to save so that you can own the home you want or the car you need, or to pay yourself in the future as you retire, then you got to find some new partnerships. Mr. West is another person that teaches us through his hardships. Think of, nobody likes to start over. Nobody likes to go back to the starting line when you've almost finished the race you were trying to do. See, Mr. West was making money. His partnership made a lot of money. It just didn't feed his vision. You got to weigh out the things that matter in your life when it comes to you as a creative, when it comes to you as a person trying to achieve a goal. If this is your first and last podcast, I hope it's not, but I hope this is something that is giving you value, where you can realize that sometimes the reason your vision isn't coming to pass is because you're partnered or you're bound to something that is not going in the direction that you needed to go. See, the scripture talk about being unequally yoked because they would put two oxen, two big cattle together. They would put these wooden harnesses around their necks so that they couldn't pull away from each other. But one could stop and the other one could keep going, and it ends up destroying both oxen. I don't want to see you or your vision destroyed because you are bound to something that is not going in the direction that you needed to go, that is not seeing the vision that you needed to see. Yeah, man. It's been a great podcast. I talk on these things, but I also process the things that come across because these are things that I apply in my real life. And once again, I encourage you to go check out the Joe Budden podcast. I encourage you to check out Sean Anthony and School's Over Now What. Study people who are not chasing fame, but who acquire vision. See, fame and vision are two different things. Some of us want to be famous. We want people to know us and to invade our lives. But once again, think about what you're partnering yourself with. I've never seen anyone partner with fame that remains there long term. It eats you alive. It demands too much. It requires too much. I want people around me that are chasing purpose and vision and success. When we do these things, when we're able to look past the flare and the distractions of what fame brings or what social media tells you, I can't help but to think that your true success is when you define who you truly are and what your purpose is as it is being fulfilled. Yeah, man, I hope this is something useful. I hope it's something valuable. I don't want to leave on a down note. I will say that I'm excited about new opportunities. And here's a positive note. So I've met some filmmakers, a guy by the name of Johnny Jones. Johnny was on a podcast a little bit ago, but I've also met some other people that Johnny has introduced me to, like Justin Williams, who's both of them are phenomenal creatives and artists and filmmakers and photographers. They're the real deal, man. They're very, very, very talented guys, as well as some other people within those circles. As well as I also work with a brand called Black with No Chaser. And because of these relationships, I will be able to go and document. I have full access, me and the team. We're going to the Fried Chicken Festival in New Orleans to cover that event. It's going to be exciting. Number one, I'm going to try to act like I got some sense when it comes to all this fried chicken down there, because I don't need to be eating all that. Anywho, but it's going to be a great time. They're doing it down on the lakefront. And I'm mentioning this because when partnerships are healthy, things grow. You see growth. You don't see drama. You don't see things become disruptive. You see harmony, and you see things that flourish. And I'm excited because through these partnerships, one of my goals is to become more known in the New Orleans market to acquire bigger job opportunities. So shout out to them, man. Shout out to the New Orleans Fried Chicken Fest and the team over there who we are working with and will be working with on site in October. So yeah, excited about that. And once again, man, shout out to the loyalty crew, the supporters over on Patreon. Man, I appreciate it. You know, I do not detest humble beginnings. Everybody starts somewhere. Everybody starts somewhere, man. But we cannot go it alone. I say this all the time on the podcast. If you want to go far, go with others. If you want to go very, very short distances, go at it alone. You can only go a short amount of your journey doing it yourself. You got to have help. And if you got to have help, you need to have solid help, solid partners, solid people who are willing to meet you in your time of need and in the places you are weakest. So, yeah, shout out to the loyalty crew, man. Let me see what I got here. Let me get a little groove going so we can go out on a note, man. There we go. Put a little Dilla on, man. So, yeah, man, listen. I want to know what you guys have going on. Kimon was a great time for us. He told me about his goals for the remainder of the year. I want to hear what you guys are. What are your goals? Tell me, what are you working on? Lo, I need some help. I need some motivation. I need some accountability. I need somebody to, speak over me, man, to help me just manifest this thing to come true. All of that. We can do all of that. We support each other here in the loyalty crew and on this platform, man. Shout out to the BEPS Network, the best network, man, a home for creatives to grow. And that is what we're doing, man. We're cultivating new creatives. We're dropping the new podcast, I think maybe in October. Baggage Claim, a set of ladies over there hosted by Nigel J. And I'm telling y'all, we're halfway through their tapings, and it is been great content. And you may need some help, man. I'm helping people start and grow their podcast. Listen, all I do is technology. My man cave is a studio. It's all these things that allow me to grow and develop as a producer, as a content creator, podcast creator. I create podcasts for our hospital system here in the coast. I've helped countless people get started, and I want to help you, man. I'm gonna have some training stuff coming up just on the basics of how you can podcast. Matter of fact, did you know you could podcast for less than $100? Like, I'm talking about where your studio set up is just very simple and clean, but you can get started for less than $100, man. Yeah, I got that course coming. So be on the lookout, but it's going to drop on the Patreon. So if you aren't signed up, I advise you to sign up. But I think I'm gonna also have it on my website for sale. Anywho, man, I thank you guys for pulling up. Listen, I thank you guys so much for pulling up to the podcast. and listening. I hope you had a good time today, man. I hope you feel encouraged. I hope you know that your life matters. Your dreams matter. Your visions matter, man. Are you listening? Hello, hello, hello. I'm talking to you. Yes. Do not give up on what was purpose and put inside of you, man. Don't give up on that dream, man. Don't give up on that vision. You just got to keep working, keep pushing. I'm on episode 58, man. Episode 58, baby. I've been here. We getting it in. And I'm starting to feel a good groove, man. And I want you guys to be in this feeling with me, where we're handling the goals and we're remaining true to the things that we have within us. So I'm about to get out of here, man. Thank you for listening. Make sure you follow on all socials. IG, the podcast has an IG. The world according to Low. Just look it up. It's there. We also have a Facebook, but I really don't use that. Facebook is just not really the platform for me anymore. I really hate having to get on Facebook. IG is where I reside all the time. So, man, you know, you can look me up, Aloysius Ballard. You can look up the podcast, The World According to Low. You can look up the BEPS Network, BEPS Network. And, man, check out my guys. Check out Sean Anthony for sure. I'm telling you, he is a great podcast coach, and I appreciate him, man. But I'm about to get out of here, man. Hey, listen, once again, make something happen, man. Start today. Get back on track. Get in there and get it done. Okay? Till next time, man. It's your boy Low. Peace.